Hi everyone, and today's podcast episode is about active civic position and cultures, educational events we will talk about. And I'm Vlad Doroshenko. Today with us is Tom Wang, who moved to Ukraine from Great Britain and help immigrants who move to Ukraine and take part in important civic public actions.
Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, that's me. Oh wow, helping migrants. I guess that appeared on a article. Oh my, how did that happen? I mean, my day job, I'm actually a teacher, teach maths and science at this high school. But yeah, I like to try and do productive things with my free time and my time in general.
Yeah, so the first question will be like, why did you decide to move to Ukraine for the first place? Like, why exactly Ukraine?
So I always thought Slavic culture was kind of cool. That's kind of why I wanted to move to Poland originally, though maybe it's better that I didn't have the opportunity to do that because, I first visited Ukraine just 2 years ago to do some volunteer work making camouflage nets in Lviv. And then I thought, wow, I really, really like it here. There's nowhere else I'd rather be given the people, the environment, the general vibe. And I thought, I mean, that's in terms of what I like, but also about my own sense of purpose in life. I feel like there's more that I can get done here productively than I ever could back in Leeds, where I was working as a data analyst before.
Yeah, it's really nice to hear. So, what key factors influence all your views and public position?
About my views. So, what do I find motivating? I guess I like there to be a fair society as much as that is possible, given that fairness is so subjective. But yeah, prior to 2022, I thought that I guess I was less educated then, but I genuinely thought there's no way that this full scale invasion would take place because it just didn't make any sense. And then seeing that this has happened it was sort of a wake up call that the world is. I mean, I knew it was a messed up place already, but I guess the messed up nature of it being so close to home kind of kicked in, and I thought, okay, that was a mistake I made. I should probably rectify this even. And so, I came here and I was doing some. I actually helped out at this center back in London, where we were just packing some, humanitarian supplies. But then I realized, yeah, I'd actually like to come here and do something and see how things are. And so the question, I'm detracting from the question, which was about what shapes my views.
Yeah.
But I guess it's, things I read online, things I hear from my friends, and then, of course, what I see around me. And all of these things come together in my mind. I try to make some, rational, well, like knit up my own understanding of the world around me and try to make decisions based on that.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. So, can you tell a little bit more how exactly you help immigrants who move to Ukraine?
Oh, I hardly even do that. I mean, I meet people who do I meet? Maybe they come, they think, oh yeah, let's start a business, and I'm thinking, yeah, foreign investment would be very useful. It's a thing that people don't usually want to um, do if they're afraid of the risks here. So I try to just give information. To me, I feel like I'm not even doing much because I feel like using social media or just finding information online isn't too big a challenge for me, and I feel like the most useful things I do involve like downloading, some messaging apps on someone's phone or just saying, "Oh yeah, here's where you go to do this. Here's where you go to do that." Because just from that, like I was with my one of my British friends, who's also a person who yeah I watched a video from before I came to Ukraine, but he was in Odessa the other day and he thanked me for just introducing him to this German guy who was in working in collaboration with this organization to invest in Ukraine, and I thought what I did was like put these two people in a room together, just said let's have some coffee, and I guess I'm just maybe it's because I like talking to people, I like socializing. It just seems like stuff happens without me putting much of an effort in. That was vague, but that's an example of things that happen.
Yes, it's such a great thing to do because some people really need this kind of mentor or just, like help from a person who knows more about such kind of topic. So, what kind of public initiatives and events you take part in, and what motivates you to do it?
Oh, of course. So I follow this channel online. Robin Mum Vam Nerve. Like we're making your nerves. I don't even know how to translate that, but yeah, they organize demonstrations sometimes. We have, well, actually, I think it's another organization that organizes, the Free Azov demonstrations on Sunday where we stand together on Deribasivska to, really try to rally to, get these brave defenders who are in captivity back to Ukraine, back to, their families where they belong. And I see, posts about, okay, we're going to have this demonstration to support the Ukrainian language. We're going to have, it's going to be, it was like National Day, Independence Day, Vishvank Day, and we just gather to, hold some kind of event to get the community together. These are things I like to attend. And then I feel like, in terms of things I actually contribute to, I find it hard to even categorize them into, activities or events because they happen so spontaneously, I guess.
Yeah, I actually agree with you because I also attend such kind of events and it's so spontaneous, just see it on your like stories in Instagram and you, oh my goodness, I will join it. You do an application if it's a need to. Yeah, it's really great and actually it helps to have some cultural awareness in some kind of events, so it's really cool. Can you tell more, please, what problems you have during participation?
Oh, problems. And because I guess if you're asking about participation, it's, things, well, firstly related to these, rallies that we get. Occasionally we might have like some heckler who disagrees with us, but I don't know, you kind of just ignore them and then they disappear, or someone like, gets rid of them. That's the only issue I can think of in that regard. If we're talking about, life in general, things that disrupt us, I mean, it is true that, we've been out of electricity for the past few days, but of course we have, generators, which is allowing us to have this, podcast right now. And things that generally, I guess, hold us back with activities. I guess there's maybe some like bureaucracy and like you have to follow a sequence of steps to have something approved or make something work. But then I feel like if you do enough research to look into that, then we can usually avoid, I don't know, any major administrative hiccups. But yeah, I'll be honest, I haven't thought about it that much.
So, like, most problems are actually caused by war, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I agree with you because I don't have a light at my house now, and it's so great that America House give us this place to make a podcast here because there are like generators and you can do their podcast no matter what. And I want to ask the next question: how like a random person can contribute to the community and help others?
Oh, that's a great question because I guess depending on who the person is, I meet, sometimes a foreigner, if we're on a topic of, well, not even just migrants, but people who just visit, if they want to like, they're like, oh, I'm here, I support Ukraine, what to do, what am I gonna do? I just point them in the direction of, various things we can, contribute to without much effort. Like, there's a couple of places where we make camouflage nets. There's the Honcharenko Center for one, and there's another place that I forgot the charity name. I think it's to do with Colo Nordic. Then of course there's Coast of Life for making trench candles. I'm just like, yo, come to this place and let's do this thing together. Let's make these candles, and then that seems to put together people together in one place. People have conversations. They get to keep in touch and carry on doing such contributions, making such contributions to society, which feels nice. And aside from that, I know like with the Robin Van Nevri that I follow, they share information about, I guess, laws and regulations that we're trying to sometimes, support or, well, not support depending on the content of them and what it means for, life here, for the goodness of the community, for, you know, not being corrupt, and for, obviously supporting Ukraine in this struggle against an invading force. Yeah, I try to maybe share those around. If we follow these sources of information, we can of course act on them, sign petitions and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree with you. That totally makes sense. So, what do you think? Does person need to have any essential skill actually to participate or volunteering?
I guess not, because these opportunities I mentioned earlier, the candle making, pouring the candles, making the wax, or just taking the fabric to make these camouflage nets and you know putting them on some what seems like a fishing net. I'd say it's low effort, and you can show up without much skill at all and just immediately get to work. For more complicated actions, I guess it's worth being able to tell who's good at what, so we can point them in the right direction, delegate to them the right tasks. But yeah, I'd say yeah, just to help. That doesn't really require much experience at all.
So, like, it's totally open for everyone, and there is no like special education for it. Like, it's free, and you can help others without any background, you know. So I wanted to ask, is there any benefits from being an active civic position?
I guess, and this motivates me to some regard. Just my sense of self-worth, you know what gets me out of bed in the morning, what makes me feel like I am living a life that's worth it. What's making me live a fulfilling life. And I do feel like by taking part in these activities, by knowing that just the things I do will have an impact, that makes me feel happier. It makes me feel accomplished. It makes me feel better about myself, and that indeed is just one benefit. They say goodness is its own reward, but then there's also just the friends you'll make in doing so, and the way others will see you and regard each other. If we show that we're involved and we're standing up for what we believe in, I feel like that brings people to think, yeah, I am worth being friends with. I mean, I shouldn't put a price on friendship, but instead of a quantitative price, like an actual, oh yeah, this price is worth, this friendship is worth 500 hryvnias or whatnot. Just the feeling of friendship. I feel like that comes from taking part in a shared activity, from working towards something together and being, I guess, viewed as someone contributing to society.
Yeah, it's actually like about morality and how you see yourself in the mirror. I agree with you. And about friendship, I wanted to tell that during some actions or volunteering, you can actually meet a lot of people that you would like to be friends with because there is so a lot of active youth or older people. You can just share some interests, so it's like a really good opportunity to find a friend. And like the final question, the main one of our podcast, is why it's so important to take part in civic life.
Ah, yes, taking part in civic life. Yeah, there's the most important reason. I would say that it's because if society affects us, if the society we live in, the services we can have, the rules that we follow, they're all things that tell us how we should do things, or they give us different opportunities, like what we can learn in school, or just being able to have, I don't know, yeah, running water or being able to visit the hospital. These things are how society affects us, you know for better or for worse. And of course, since we are participants in society, it's only fair that we we try to make it the way we feel we deserve. Because if we don't care about society, then we may just let let other people decide for us. And if there's one person who wants to do very bad things, then they may end up deciding how society is run. And I don't think I need to remind us where we've seen that take place. So yeah, we should shape the society and really contribute towards the world we want to live in, so that it can provide us with what we need.
What kind of message would you give to our audience, like according to the topic?
Oh yeah, I would say, given this discussion we've had, I'd say yeah, for on social media, I guess. Even we can have a separate debate of how much we should use social media, but with any platforms you're using, try to follow pages, follow news channels that really tell us about what's going on around us. Follow creators, influencers who care about the society we live in, because by staying informed, we have a good idea of a better understanding, a more well-rounded understanding of what's really happening, and then we can maybe think about what decisions we can make, what we can do to better society and ourselves.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like our actual page Sparkle, like we make podcasts on this. Yeah, it's actually about civic position and being an active youth and the America House where we being in. It's about a lot of opportunities to get to know a lot of and actually make your own stuff. So it's the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining it. It was such a great and useful talk. I think a lot of people learned good stuff about from this. And during today's episode, we were talking about active civic position, about culture and educational events, why it's so important to take part in them. And if you have any questions left, you can just write them in the comments and subscribe Sparkle. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for having me. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone.
Yeah.